Welcome to the Home Business Podcast with Richard Captain Henderson, publisher of Home Business Magazine, and Sherilyn Colleen, managing editor. This how-to show helps you successfully operate your home-based business.
Greetings and welcome to the Home Business Podcast. I'm Richard Captain Henderson, your skipper at Home Business TV.
Hey, I'm Lynn, your co-host.
Let's gear for seeing, getting away. It's the new gold rush, or rather green rush.
Every day it seems like another CBD brand or product is launched. Sports stars, celebrities, politicians, and more are all into the game.
But how do you weed out, no pun intended, good CBD products from the bad?
More importantly, what kind of business opportunities can CBD and hemp products offer a home-based entrepreneur?
Joining us today to answer our questions on the fast-growing CBD industry is Sara Rose Kennedy, co-founder of the CBD website, Purify.
So hello, Sara Rose Kennedy. Welcome to our show. Say hello to our listeners.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you.
And calling in from the bustling convention metropolis of Las Vegas today.
Yes, that's right. I'm a very cold Las Vegas right now.
So Colorado was kind of a leader in the CBD, opening it up. Is Nevada pretty good with the CBD industry?
Yes, I think Nevada and Las Vegas particularly is definitely.
It would seem, it seemed like you'd kind of be on the cutting edge. Well, thanks for connecting in today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
We're really happy you're on our show. So Sara Rose Kennedy, let's learn more about you. How did you get involved in the CBD industry initially?
It started a few years ago. I actually started in the cannabis industry. I'm from LA originally, and I moved out to Nevada and Las Vegas to work in the cannabis industry from day one of legalization, from lobbying for medical recreational, medical cannabis legalization to recreational. I've worked in cultivation, production, dispensary, and I've worked with about 60 brands in cannabis, as having my own marketing company in the Weeds Consulting, and have worked on a lot of different projects, including opening the first cannabis museum in the United States. And
wait, a cannabis museum?
yeah, you got to check it out. Cannabition. It's the it's a kind of, have you heard of the ice cream museum?
No, but where's it going to be located? The cannabis. Where's it going to be at?
Well, it's being moved right now. It was in downtown Las Vegas, off of Fremont Street, and it's going to be relaunching in Planet 13, which is the biggest dispensary in Las Vegas at the moment.
Wow.
Wow, so you found yourself right in the middle of a big, booming, red-hot market. I mean, I've never seen anything as hot as CBD, and how it's just kind of going in every different direction.
Right. It's definitely an industry that, as soon as the Farm Bill was passed last year, an industry boomed overnight. And coming from the cannabis industry, where I worked the last few years in probably the most regulated state, I see a lot of a lot of problems that and transition that the hemp and CBD industry are going through. It's kind of the opposite of what I went through with the cannabis industry being very hyper regulated. There's a lack of regulation that's only now kind of being defined right now as the industry is getting.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. First of all, it's overly regulated and you can't break it open, right. And that, that's a problem. But then when it gets when it suddenly booms and gets unregulated, that can create its own problems, with shady products coming in, lack of testing and verification, and so. Yeah, I guess you working in the industry, you got to find that right balance.
Absolutely. I think it's the most important thing that's happening right now. Being able to get bad operators, black hat product off of the market is probably the most important thing for a compliant industry. So I see the value and the importance of having regulation that makes sense. And and being able to operate in that environment.
Well, Sara, CBD is red hot. Why are so many people and businesses getting into the CBD industry? Do you see?
I think kind of like, like the cannabis industry, it's people, see it as a hot ticket right now. I think a lot of people that have entered the space are realizing that it's a lot more difficult to operate successfully and navigate the space than anticipated. I think that it's a hot product right now, but I also think the important part of it is that it's a product that, as we get more education and we have better product on the market, that it's something that will be around for a long time.
And I think you mentioned it separately. I guess it's important to distinguish CBD from cannabis.
Right. Absolutely. Board of Taxation governs cannabis as a controlled substance, and it's the state departments of agriculture that regulate and legislate hemp as a product.
Mm-hmm.
So Sara, do all CBD products contain THC, which is known to have psychedelic elements and effects?
Yes, hemp derived and cannabis derived do both have THC, Delta 9 and Delta 8. Delta 9 is what is tested right now for the psychotropic, psychedelic part of the plant. There's a limit of 0.03% derived from hemp, and it can't be derived from cannabis. That is acceptable by the Farm Bill standards.
Yeah, it's funny. You go to the gym or whatever, people are talking about that. They'll talk about CBD and they say, well, I'm going to get a drug test at my job. And it just seems like the verdict's out on whether or not it's going to pick up, the THC is going to pick up from CBD, if there's going to be enough in there. And
right.
that's just kind of a funny thing that people talk about with that.
Yeah, no, and I would say it's a legitimate concern. Testing, packaging, being able to get what you think you're buying out of the product, whether it's too little CBD or maybe some products are hot with too much THC, could be is a genuine concern that I think will kind of be able to navigate as the industry has more standards that are set for brands as on the wholesale, on the production side of things, on the packaging and the consumer side of things as well.
Yeah, I mean, in general, CBD, the benefits not from the THC that people talk about is just, overall health benefits. But I imagine whatever you do, it's going to be tough to get all the THC out just because, it's like getting all the caffeine out of coffee. It's part of the product, and it's just something that's going to have to be continually monitored.
Right. And it's something that, it can be done, and it is done. There is a lot of research starting to come out saying that the entourage effect with having multiple cannabinoids and terpenes, is a more powerful and effective plant-based medicine. But I definitely agree with that, is that there is uncertainty with not having standardization of these products. So people really don't know, are they getting the right amount of CBD that they need? Are they getting the right amount of other cannabinoids with CBN and CBG in the product? So there's a lot of kind of learning that we're doing, I think, as a whole on the industry side and as the consumer side of this product.
Lots going on there. Let's look a little bit more about the entrepreneur side of it. There are a lot of CBD options out there. How does an entrepreneur know if they're getting the real thing?
So the best way that if you're purchasing CBD, whether in its raw form, whether it's an isolate, a distillate, or a crude to manufacture your products, the best way to do that is to go to an accredited lab and make sure that your product that you're receiving is tested, so that you're getting a COA, a certificate of authenticity, that has the potency of the CBD, THC, if there is any in there. You would know how much it is if it's under the legal limits. And then, then you also have a COA that has everything from
so that COA, again, that's a certificate of authenticity, and you get that from, an accredited lab to actually test the product out then.
Yeah, there's labs all over the country that focus now on hemp and cannabis testing. And with these COAs, you can really find out how, healthy the biomass or the hemp flower is. You can see, okay, does it have solvents, microbials, heavy metals, pesticides in it? So as a business owner that would be, making a tincture or a gummy or making any of these products, you definitely want to know the chain of custody of the product that you're receiving for production.
So it's important, like you mentioned earlier, with the lack of regulation and not finding that balance yet, you've got to be careful and, do a little bit of the due diligence yourself to make sure you're dealing with the real thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, the burden is on the on the consumer, and also, on the business making the product, to make sure that they're sourcing from credible sources, that, it's a single source, that it's a farm to production product, whether it's coming in from international sources or it's produced here. To understand where you're purchasing the product is very important.
As always, buyer beware.
Buyer beware, yes.
So Sara, do you have any advice for home business owners who are thinking of starting up their own CBD business?
I do. I would say research and community. There's, more than any other industries that I've worked in previous lives. I think that, CBD and hemp really fosters a community of finding, education in all forms, so that being able to, get the most relevant and up-to-date information, whether that's from, clinical trials, whether that's from certain extraction processes, whatever it is, there's a huge amount of community support, for being a CBD entrepreneur.
You just brought up a really key point. I want to bring that out. And I haven't really heard that before, but, the idea that ties into a business is this is a community. It's kind of like those Saturn car owners where, people, it's more than just a business they're getting into. That most people have bought in or are experiencing the benefits of CBD, and they're kind of cheerleaders for it. And that naturally leads to communities that you can find, building within social media and online.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of people that I know, have known over the years in the industry have gotten into the industry, from their own success stories with the plant, and then that turned into, wanting to understand it, and then really becoming passionate about it.
We'll learn about those communities. Well, Sara, just a little bit more on the business, CBD businesses. What are you generally aware of? Are these, primarily direct product sales businesses?
Yeah, there's, we're and my company, Purify, we're focusing on online sales. However, there is a huge range of distribution that's starting to grow in the industry. You're able to find CBD products from everything from, gas stations to, large chain stores now. And, there's still the element of boutique and homegrown and whatnot. So you're still seeing mom and pop, brands on the market, which I think
a lot of home business owners, maybe they're not maybe opening up a shop, but they would join some kind of a direct sales network.
Yeah.
To network within their groups, kind of like network marketing, and, to market the product.
Yeah.
I imagine that's where a lot of the smaller home-based operations, and a lot of home-based operations will, be based from the home, but then open up a boutique shop, which I've even seeing in my, my small town here.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of smaller brands work with larger scale production and do licensing agreements, so that you have a larger production white labeling group maybe producing. I definitely see a growth in MLM type of businesses in the CBD space. Again, it goes to that health and wellness community that's really embracing the CBD products.
Mm-hmm.
So the CBD industry shows no signs of cooling off. Sara, what do you see in the future for CBD and growth and different initiatives?
I see. I definitely see more standardization, whether that's the industry, self-regulating or more regulation happening within the industry as far as what makes a good product, what makes a bad product. Consumer sophistication, I think, is going to be the big driving factor of that. It's not an easy product or process to understand. So, consumers that are using the product really are educating themselves in that. And I think when you have a very educated consumer that understands the difference between, what is working for them and what isn't working for them, that's going to, really drive the market to have better standards overall.
Well, I think that's a really good point to bring out. You just mentioned that if you're going to go into business, there is a need to educate the client,
Right.
to educate the consumer on this. And so to be successful in the business, along with marketing and all the other things you do with launching a business, you need to be prepared to communicate about the benefits of CBD and help your customer navigate through it to make the best buyer decision that they can make. Then they'll be, long-term more satisfied with you.
Absolutely. And I think that there's a lot of new markets that are going to come online this next year. A lot of people that, traditionally didn't use cannabis that, are feeling more comfortable about entering and using CBD products, which is fantastic.
And that's me, I'm just like, hey, I'm going to finally try CBD, just because, I didn't really want to do cannabis, but I've talked to so many people that are saying it's completely different and you'll get good benefits from it.
Absolutely. And then also, international markets, there's a lot of countries that are, starting to open their doors and starting to allow CBD. And I really think this is going to be a global commodity and global product. It's going to be salt, pepper, and CBD on the shelves.
Well, Sara Rose Kennedy, this has been a great discussion on the CBD Gold Rush. Do you have any final points you'd like to share?
I'd like to on the point of consumer education and information. The company that we're launching, Purify at purify.com, is embracing that. We want to be the go-to resource for the CBD and hemp industry. So you can definitely find some unique original content and information on our site.
And we'll have that on our podcast page for this podcast, your website and all.
Great. Thank you. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. Sara Rose Kennedy, thank you for being a wonderful guest on our Home Business podcast.
Fantastic. All right. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
To learn more about Sara Rose Kennedy and her niche in the CBD industry, please visit purify.com or our podcast website for more information on guests.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of the Home Business Podcast. Share your feedback with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website, homebusinessmag.com.
Visit the website for information on advertising, subscribe to our newsletter. Please visit our sponsors. For more information, visit homebusinessmag.com or the expo at homebusinessexpo.com.
I'm Richard Captain Henderson saying anchors away.
We'll talk with you soon. Until then,
Make it a great home-based biz day.